Hey everyone, Sal here at Goldspot Pens, and today we are here for a very special event, the inaugural Montegrappa Passport Series in beautiful New York City. And we thank Kenro Industries, our friends, as well as our very special guest here from Italy, the CEO of Montegrappa Pens, Mr. Giuseppe Aquila. Welcome to New York.
Thank you.
Thank you for having this event with us.
It's a pleasure being with you.
Very
guys.
pleased to be here.
Welcome, Giuseppe.
Tell us about Montegrappa's family and when the Aquila family got involved with Montegrappa.
Well, the company was established in 1912, so we're celebrating 106 years this year. My grandfather got involved in business since 1938. So actually, his background was in chemistry, and my grandfather started off as a manufacturer of inks.
Okay.
And then decided to venture into the pen business, but he didn't have know-how, how
Back in the 30s?
Back in the 30s.
Okay.
So he approached Montegrappa, and he asked Montegrappa, that was basically the first company, the first Italian pen company, to produce a line of pens under his own name. Up to a certain point when 70% of the Montegrappa business was actually done through my grandfather.
Okay.
So this is when my father joined later on the business, he thought, about taking over the business. So this happened much later. This happened in the late 70s.
Okay.
Okay. So
Taking over Montegrappa.
Taking over Montegrappa.
Okay.
Montegrappa started before, as I mentioned earlier. It started off in 1912, and it was actually a joint venture between an Austrian lady. Her name was Edwidge Hoffman, and an Italian entrepreneur, Alessandro Marzotto, who is related to the Marzotto family. They're a very big group in the textile business even today. Edwidge Hoffman, she was already manufacturing gold nibs in Austria. So she had a company making gold nibs. Also because at that time, there were no Italian brands. Montegrappa was the first Italian brand. Together with Alessandro Marzotto, they set up Montegrappa. They bought this beautiful building by the shores of the river Brenta, which was formerly a thermoelectric power plant. And they converted this into the first pen company in Italy. There was a point when then my family sold the business to a big group,
to the
Richemont.
Yes.
And eventually we bought the company back in 2009, and so my family has revamped the business once again. Right now we are enjoying a very, very good period for Montegrappa, especially we've seen, especially in this last 2 years, renaissance, let's say, of the fountain pen business.
What do you think in terms of a pen usage? Compared to back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and now, how do people perceive the fountain pen, especially a pen of stature like Montegrappa?
Well, the role of the pen has changed a lot, has evolved a lot over the years. In these last 2 years, we've seen a huge comeback of the fountain pen. In fact, our fountain pen sales have increased by 60% in these last 2 years. The perception of a pen varies from market to market.
Of course.
So Montegrappa is a brand that is distributed in over 75 different countries. And of course, we are lucky enough to see how each market actually has a different approach toward pens. We are seeing people actually starting to use fountain pens again. It's not so much as a gift when it was probably in the past, and then probably, as you said, some brands really didn't matter whether the pen was right or not. Then during the 90s, of course, the pens, were very hot with collectors, and also that kind of market has changed a lot in these past few years, and thanks to the social medias, like you say, what we are doing today, people are more educated about how to use a fountain pen.
Exactly.
And that is making all the difference.
They can appreciate it more because a fountain pen is something you have to use it to really appreciate it.
Right.
One more addition to that question I had is, how do you see that between Europe and America in the usage and appreciation of fountain pen?
Well, in Europe, people traditionally have always used fountain pen. I mean, there are certain countries in which, you know, you must use a fountain pen at school. I mean, when you go even elementary school or, you know, secondary school, you know, they teach you long.
I went to a British school system, and we were required
to
use not even cartridges, ink, fill it up.
Exactly. This is still true for some countries, not true for other countries, but still there is a tradition of using fountain pen. We see also a lot of interest in calligraphy. So calligraphy is really a trendy, really a hot thing to do. I mean, again, some cultures, they always embrace calligraphy, I mean, especially in Asia, Japan particularly. But now we're seeing in Europe, but also in the United States, of course, I mean, a lot of the millennials, I mean, are finding interest in calligraphy.
Other than the look and, of course, the writing, what makes a good fountain pen?
For Montegrappa, the choice of materials is extremely important. There's a number of materials which are unique to Montegrappa, particularly today. For example, I mean, some of our top lines in the regular edition, we make extensive use of celluloid. And also, for example, the feeders of our fountain pens, again in that kind of category, they're made of ebonite. Okay, so this is the same kind of material that we've been used since basically the 1912. And also the manufacturing techniques that we use, especially on some of the limited editions, for example. I mean, we use techniques that nobody else uses in the components and also in the design of the pens itself. I mean, there are a number of engraving techniques that, you know, the proprietary to us, like the low relief engraving, for example. I mean, we are probably the only company in the pen industry that has, you know, craftsmen that do engraving by hand, painting by hand, setting of stone by hand. This is all entirely done in-house.
Give us a visualization of when you decide to make a new design, from concept to a pen. Give us a little flow.
Normally, I am the person who comes up with ideas.
Okay.
And the ideas, they come from all different sources. At times, I mean, even our partners, you know, they come up with ideas and we share them together. It's a team effort. But then we have a team of incredibly skilled designers that then they, you know, they put to paper what is at times, you know.
So they have to read your mind.
Well, I mean, I have to try and explain them.
Exactly, but they have to figure out what you meant by it, and it's like they have to do the concept.
Yes.
After listening to what you have to say.
Yes. Our designers are working full time every day on new designs. There's a lot of research behind any project, whether it is a regular line or a limited edition. The limited edition, you know, always requires extensive research about the theme, you know, that the product is inspired to. And so we have a team. I mean, normally, again, an idea maybe comes from me, but then it needs a lot of research on the subject. They make sure that everything is correct. And it's not just internet, because internet is not
sit around the dinner table and Diana's there and everybody votes, like, are we doing this or not?
Let's say that our limited edition business helps us a lot in the development of the regular lines. It's like, you know, in Formula One, you know, racing, like take Ferrari, you know, they have the Formula One division and they have, you know, the street car division every day. I mean, not really every day, but still, you know, they experiment the technologies in Formula One and they bring those technology into the mainstream.
I just have one last question left that I will go over. Is there anything that you'd like to give us a hint on?
Of course, I might talk about this beauty here, the new Revolver pen by Montegrappa. We believe this actually encapsulates the state of the art of the Montegrappa technology. I mean, there's a bit of everything in this pen. I mean, starting from materials to technology. The grip of the pen is made using a bog oak, which is 4,200 years old. And this pen has a lot of very nice features. Of course, it's only available as a fountain pen. It's a piston-fed fountain pen with an ebonite feeder. And it has a proprietary filling system, which is what we call power push. So basically, it's a push mechanism. You just need to push once. You dip it in an ink bottle, and it will, fill it up, fill the reservoir up with ink just in one stroke.
And is this something that you think, because you had mentioned earlier that there are some technologies that you work with for the limited editions that you would then try to implement in the regular lines. Would this be something that you might want to consider putting in like a regular line type of pen?
Definitely, at a later stage, yes, we might be using this also in a regular line pen.
That is absolutely gorgeous, and also too, it has a fully working revolving chamber that you would put that you would be able to fully spin around just like you would a regular revolver.
Right.
And then you have a special tool there.
And you have bullets inside.
Bullets that you said they have numbers.
They're numbered.
Imprinted on them.
Yes. You might think about what is the best date for me this month to meet this person, very important person for my business.
You would spin?
So you spin and you just distract. Yeah, I mean, there's many ways you can use it, or you can also play Russian roulette.
A very safe version of it. Yeah.
Yes, just with one bullet
over and over
two
again.
bullets. So it's kind of fun. It's also a stress reliever because you just can spin this.
Are there any particular models that you feel connected with, that you feel most proud of?
I feel proud for any of our pens in a way. They are like our babies.
Right.
It's like, so which is your favorite child? It's difficult to tell. Of course, there are some that I'm more attached to than others, but because maybe there are some interesting stories about the way it originated, or thanks to that pen, we got connected to certain people. Before you mentioned Sylvester Stallone, for example, as a designer of one of our pens. We were seated at a table for dinner in Venice with Sylvester Stallone during one event. He was awarded a very important award at the Venice Film Festival. And he was, at that time, he was shooting this Expendable movie.
Right.
Okay, so he had just made a tattoo on his arm, with skulls and things like that. So he was very much into skulls, and so we were having conversation. So what pen, should we make? Because he's also an investor in the business. So
he was already a part of Montegrappa.
He was already, yes, he was already part of Montegrappa. So he took a napkin and I produced my pen to him, and he started to sketch the pen. He said, I would like to see a pen with skulls and lizards and snakes. So just after a couple of weeks, we went back to him with renderings of the pen based on his concept. He was very happy, and then we followed through the projects from the very beginning till the end, and he was very pleased with the result. And the pen was a huge success.
Very cool. So out of all the pen models that you have, which are on your desk and that you use every day?
Well, which is in my pocket. I can show you.
That's in your pocket, okay.
So in my pocket is the Extra 8. This is actually a new color that we have just launched.
I was going to say, that's a beautiful color we haven't seen.
Right, yeah, this is a new one. Actually, it's not launched yet into the market. It will be probably in a couple of months.
I wanted to thank Giuseppe Aquila. I want to thank Montegrappa and the folks at Kenro Industries for putting this together and giving us the opportunity to sit here with you today and to talk about all of your awesome pens. Thank you again, Giuseppe.
Thank you very much. It's really a great pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Have a great one, guys. Stay inky, my friends. Take care.
Thank you.